Why are
Boating.
you turning my name all over the
Sorry,
place?
Godfrey Akotobuafo and Kujo. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Bernard.
Thank you, Bernard.
It's
How
great
are you?
to have you.
I
How's
like
your
your
weekend?
combo. For me, it was stressful. I haven't been, I haven't been too well. But
Sorry.
yeah, we're managing. We are strong. We are here.
Yeah.
For the country, for everybody.
I hear. All right, Kujo, welcome. Take it up. Let's go straight.
Okay, let's start with the Ghanaian Times. Issuance of national ID. NIA distributes 3 million cards from today at 5,635 registration centers nationwide.
Wow.
Government donates Veronica buckets, face masks to churches, mosques. NCA poised to set price ceiling for telecommunication services. Imani identifies challenges in Tema port clearing system, but GRA denies claims. NLA, VAG grant licenses to private lotto operators.
Front page of the Daily Graphic says post-retirement contract. Lecturers can teach until 70. But for me, the big story is on page 13. Government to break monopoly in telecom sector. I will give you details on that later. NI begins distribution of cards today. Every Ghanaian must be given opportunity to vote, according to Alasan Andani.
Now, the finder, 47,000 Veronica bucket sets and face masks from government to churches, mosques, palaces. ICUMS rakes in 177.3 million Ghana cedi at Tema Port in 1 week. Better roads not an instrument of death. Nanado, an agri-cattle lakeside estate, wins land case against Ni Ajete Obobo II of Teshi.
Front page of the Daily Guide newspaper, venture capital case, NDC CEO to refund 15 million Ghana cedis comes with a photo of Mr. Daniel Duku. Huge cannabis seized, NLA licenses 5 actors, and government breaks telecoms monopoly.
The Chronicle, 2 forged documents to import dangerous chemicals. Plaintiff says items could be used for making bombs, cartridges, and for mining purposes.
Wow.
Court rules on case tomorrow. My vice doctored CI report, this is Dr. Dominic Anyine, 10 million Ghanaians of voting age registered by NIA, and NLA grants licenses to 5 private lotto operators under Act.
The Herald newspaper is going with faulty Unipass system gets Chevrolet car cleared for 14 cities. The jury have issued a statement on this. Reckless Lewin apologizes to Dr. Opuni. NLA licenses 5 lotto operators also makes it to the front page of this paper.
Now, the new Crusading Guide, construction of motorway projects. Akufo-Addo explains it all, says Mohammed's roads are only a fantasy in the NDC Green Book. Ghana First is clean, MD reacts, blames contractors for their woes. Forgery case against Ali Yoda, others, judgment set for Tuesday. And government assists churches, mosques with Veronica buckets.
The front page of the Daily Statesman, I'll pay back 15 million Ghana cedis loot. Mahama appointee agrees with state in 42 million Ghana cedis stealing case.
Now, the new publisher, Tema Ports in turmoil over Unipass faulty system. GRA confirms 14 Ghana cedi car clearance. COVID-19 evacuation, 41 stranded Ghanaians return home from the US. And Salt FM CEO sues Reverend Obofo over debt.
Front page of the Ghanaian Observer, government clears ECG's legacy debt is the big story. Alleged illegal importation of sodium cyanide, judgment set for Tuesday.
Now, the Gold Street business, government recovers just 0.03% of its loans to SOEs. 14.8 billion Ghana cedis still outstanding at end 2018. GEPA seeks to increase market share of Ghana's cocoa powder, and import clearing problems resolved at Tema Port. 4,200 bills of entry processed in first week.
And the front page of the BNFT, COVID-19 speeds up introduction of cybersecurity regulations. New law expected to be passed this year. ICOMS rakes in over 170 million Ghana cedis after takeoff at Tema Port.
Now, the Economy Times, banks fleece customers. Commander Sugar Factory to resume operation without new concessionaire. Business activities picking up satisfactorily after lifting of restrictions. This according to a market survey.
Let's take you online, citynewsroom.com. Ghana's COVID-19 case count now 9,638. Recoveries now 3,636. Also, government moves to check MTN's dominance in telco sector. Other stories, MPP primaries, names of aspirants who pass vetting to be released today. Major press conference
8 a.m.
at 8:30. Very serious
It's
matter.
not them.
Meanwhile, NIA postpones Ghana card issuances to June 10, and government announces evacuation flights for stranded Ghanaians in Dubai. Now, Citi Business News is leading with manual system hasn't returned to the ports with Unipass. This is GRA responding to Imani. Also, COVID-19, estate developers seek support to prevent job losses. Other stories, banks defy BOG's directives on customer complaints and data protection, according to a survey. And businesses at Alaba in Kumasi lament impact of COVID-19. MyJoyOnline.com. Ernesto Yoboa opens up about arrest during Black Lives Matter vigil. Also, 41 stranded Ghanaians return from the US as part of COVID-19 evacuation. Many churches in Oti region remain closed despite easing of COVID-19 restrictions. If you go to Star News, they lead with husband files 5 million CD suit against Rich Hospital over death of wife and baby. Also, majority of COVID-19 patients in the eastern region are youth. 8 are children. Guys, this is serious. And other stories. Furious minister storms Ago FM, fights opponent over stadium. This is MPP primaries. GNA is also leading with COVID-19, 176 new infections. And also, ICUMS raises 177 million cedis at the Tema port. Meanwhile, Vice President to launch digital platform for accessing government services today. And the president has also commissioned the Tema motorway interchange. Globally, Minneapolis Council pledges to dismantle police. This is from the US. This is BBC's lead story. Meanwhile, very interesting, Colin Powell says Donald Trump has drifted away from Constitution. This is heavyweight talking in the United States of America. Let me take you to Nigeria quickly. They have 12,486 COVID-19 cases. And then if you go to East Africa, COVID-19 shock dims earnings prospects for East African banks for 2020. Gentlemen, let's start with...
I'm going to the telcos. I'll start from there.
We have that story in the graphic. It's also on citinewsroom.com.
You want to take it or I should take it?
Oh, either of us.
Okay.
Let's go for
Let me
it.
go with it. On page 13, government to break monopoly in telecom sector. The government has directed the National Communications Authority to enforce provisions of the Electronic Communications Act 2008 and the National Telecommunications Policy to address disparities in market and revenue share in the telecommunications sector. Under the NTP, any operator with 40% or more market share in voice, data, short messaging service, and value-added services such as mobile money is considered a significant market power. The NCA, in accordance with that, has declared Scancom Limited (MTN) as an SMP, and with that designation, the regulator is required to take corrective measures under the law to facilitate more market competition, ensure proper pricing for consumers, and facilitate the overall growth of the telecommunications industry.
So, with this, as you said, they will take corrective measures. In fact, it came in a statement, a press release that was sent last night, signed by the Minister for Communication, dated June 6, 2020. Now, to correct the imbalance, the NCA will apply the following measures in exercise of its regulatory mandate. They call the first one asymmetrical interconnect rate in favor of the disadvantaged operators, setting of floor or ceiling pricing on all minutes, data, SMS, mobile money, etc. 3. Reviewing and approving all pricing by this significant market player, being MTN, as required by the law. Require the SMP not to have differential pricing for on-net and off-net transactions, and ensure various operator vendors are not subject to exclusionary pricing or behavior. Other 2 things, they will ensure that the SMP's access to information does not disadvantage any value-added service of a non-SMP operator. And finally, they will require operators to present implementation plans on national roaming services within the next 30 days for execution. We'll spend some time on this later
Interesting.
on. You also said other things in terms of teachers.
Yes, lecturers can teach until 70.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, that's on the front page of the paper. It says that the government has announced new rules to guide post-retirement contracts for academic staff of public universities in the country. Under the rules, even though the mandatory retirement age for academic staff of public universities shall continue to be 60 years, professorial grade staff and associate professors and professors shall be eligible for post-retirement contracts until the age of 70 in line with constitutional provisions. Under the current guidelines, that category of staff used to retire at 60, with a few of them being given contracts which came with challenges of payment in the light of their receiving pensions. Consequently, the Auditor General called for the cancellation of such post-retirement contract. So in an interview with the Daily Graphic, Minister of Education, Dr. Matthew Poku-Prempeh, explained that the new rule had become necessary as part of measures to bolster and maintain a critical mass of key academic staff to support the anticipated significant increase in tertiary enrollment as a consequence of the free senior high school program.
Kojo, what do you have for us?
I want to go to the national ID story, the big story on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. Now, the Ghanaian Times reports that the NIA will begin distribution of 3 million cards from today. Now, the story says the National Identification Authority will from today commence issuance of 3.87 million Ghana cards to applicants in 5,335 registration centers across the country. The exercise, according to a statement signed and issued in Accra on June 5 by ACI Francis Pamdeti, Head of Corporate Affairs, NIA, would be completed on June 16. It said the nationwide card issuance would enable 11 million Ghanaians to possess Ghana cards in good time to be used for vouching for their relatives or other Ghanaians who wish to register during the nationwide mop-up registration exercise.
Now, that story is also here, but the related one for me, the big story today, actually, MPP primaries, name of aspirants who passed vetting to release today. This is huge because this is for constituencies that the party has sitting MPs, and a lot of these constituencies are considered safe. Now, the governing New Patriotic Party will today, Monday, June 8, release the names of all persons cleared to contest the party's June 20 parliamentary primaries. This follows a decision taken by the NEC at its last meeting on Thursday. The guidelines and modalities of the primaries will be announced today. So, two big announcements. Those who've gone through and the guidelines for the primaries, which are in 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 20th.
The party on April 14 suspended its planned 25th April primaries indefinitely in accordance with the president's ban on public gatherings in the wake of coronavirus. Now, many parliamentary aspirants also suspended their campaign due to the decision. But with the easing of the COVID-19 induced restrictions, some aspirants have resumed some level of campaigning. MPP seeks to use the primaries to elect parliamentary candidates in constituencies where it has sitting MPs. But the steering committee meeting today held June 1, that was like a couple of days ago. The party agreed to hold the election in electoral areas rather than at the constituency level in order to ensure social distancing. So it's going to be, they won't have a lot of people at one place. So if the constituency will have it in specific electoral areas, so it will be much broader. And then this is set for June 20. Background, some people have seen their names in newspapers suggesting they've been disqualified. Some of them are not happy. So everybody will want to listen to what the General Secretary has to say today. I think they'll announce the names and they also announce the plan.
Yeah.
We'll
now
be giving some insight
the
on
front
that
page
paper.
of the Informer has its own take with a photo of MPP General Secretary John Boydou and lawyer Philip Addison, and it says MPP bans over disqualifications of parliamentary aspirants, and they have put together a couple of reports from across the country on some of the situations that arose the past week.
Yeah, so that story is in some other papers as well. The MPP primaries is huge. But I wanted you to take me to Income's Unipass something. That story is also, it's not going away. It's been there for a while. Is it Income's or Income's? Yeah, because GNA was saying that Income's rakes over 177 million at Tema Port.
Yes.
And then somebody replies to the man.
It's also in the Finder, actually.
Yeah, so give us the...
IQM's rigs in...
This is IQs.
Okay, ICUUMS rigs in 177 million at the Tema Port in 1 week. Now, the story says the integrated customs management system is said to have raked in 177.3 million Ghana cedis in revenue at the Tema Port in 1 week. This amount was generated from successful processing of 4,793 bills of entry from custom house agents and freight forwarders. Now, if you check some of the other newspapers, their reports on this is not good. For example, the new publisher says Tema Port in turmoil over Unipass faulty system. Now, if GRA confirms 14 Ghana CD car clearance. Now, if you check the story, it has a picture of Nick Danso, and it says relevant stakeholders in the trade facilitation chain at the Tema Port are frustrated as they continuously point out the evident lapses in the Ghana Link Unipass system, and the increasing nature of it has disrupted the ease of doing business and resultant revenue loss to the state.
Okay.
Importers are up in arms with the government over impending demurrage charges that they would have to suffer because of the system. Now, the Ghana Union of Traders has issued a press statement to express their shock at the continuous lapses on the new system. The Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders continue to point out daily lapses Whistleblowers are raising red flags over how the Ghana Link Unipass system was able to clear a 2016 car for just an amount of 14 Ghana cedis
Wow.
paid as duty charges. And it goes on and on and on to talk about some of the challenges with the system.
All right, let me take you to COVID-19 now. Ghana's COVID-19 case count hits 9,638. This is citinewsroom.com. Recovery is now 3636. Story simply says that the confirmation of 176 new COVID-19 cases in Ghana has pushed the country's case count up to 9,638 as of Sunday, June 7. The Ghana Health Service announced this on its website. Now, the update indicates that 89 people have recovered from the virus, increasing the tally to 3636. 3 people are currently in critical condition, 17 are in severe condition. And then the Greater Accra region has 6,309, Ashanti 1,645. Now, 2 related stories, one in Star News. And I'm pretty troubled about that. Majority of COVID-19 patients in the Eastern region are youth. 8 are children. So a total of 108 out of 168 persons who have tested positive for COVID-19 in the Eastern region are youth between ages 15 to 39. The persons with ages above 40 tested who are positive are 46 in number. Children with ages 0 to 14 who tested positive are 8. The minimum age of person tested positive is 5-month-old baby, with the maximum age being 91 years. The young age group are mostly asymptomatic, according to the report sent to the Ghana Health Service headquarters by the Eastern Regional Health Directorate, as seen by Star News. According to the report dated June 6, 84% of cases recorded in the region are asymptomatic. Meanwhile, 31 health workers in the Eastern region have tested positive for COVID-19, and they are in a mixture of those conducting contact tracing and those who work in hospitals. And about 8 of the total number have recovered. So the good news is that majority are asymptomatic, but the fact that a lot of young people are getting it is a problem.
Okay, now still linked with COVID-19, if you go to page 3 of the BNFT, COVID-19 speeds up introduction of cybersecurity regulations. And it says that, and this is according to Dr. Albert Intribusia, who is the National Cybersecurity Advisor. In this regard, the Ministry of Communications through the National Cybersecurity Center has expedited work on the remodeled cybersecurity bill, which Cabinet is expected to deliberate on this month.
Could you?
Now, more on COVID-19. This is the evacuation story. 41 stranded Ghanaians returned from the US. The new publisher says some 41 Ghanaians have arrived in Ghana from the United States of America as part of the government's arrangement to evacuate stranded citizens from foreign land amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The development comes on the back of an announcement by the Foreign Affairs Ministry that it was facilitating some chartered flights to carry Ghanaians back home despite the closure of the country's international borders. Now, Bernard, on this story, there are some people in the UK who say they do not know the way forward, even though they've submitted their documents. And they'll be glad if the Foreign Affairs Ministry gave them timelines that we expect to evacuate you, say, on this date or that date, so that they can prepare adequately.
2 stories from over the weekend. Economic Fighters League is demanding explanations from the Ghana government over circumstances leading to the disruption of the Black Lives Matter vigil at the Black Star Square on Saturday. The vigil was organized in Ghana as a sequel to the global agitation following the tragic death of George Floyd in the US, and also condemned all forms of oppression. It was organized by the Economic Fighters League on Saturday evening, who went on a peaceful march for about an hour. But armed police and military officers stormed the venue and disrupted the exercise. The leader, Ernesto Yuba, was later on arrested, but he's been granted bail and released. That's the story we have for now.
There is a sad story from the Volta region, center spread of the Ghanaian Times. Timber racketeers destroy Tindubu Hill Forest Reserve in the Volta region.
Oh.
Now, the story says timber racketeers are now carrying out their nefarious activities in the woods at night at Chomi Sabadu. If I got the name wrong, forgive me. In the North Dai district of the Volta region, where they are rapidly depleting the rich vegetative cover on the Tindubu Hill Forest Reserve. With the new trend, our children and children's children will only become survivors and not inheritors. This is the Assemblyman, Mr. Ahmed Dosenyo, speaking to the Ghanaian Times. And he says some unpatriotic locals were also conniving with illegal chainsaw operators for small sums of money for them to destroy the forest. And according to him, members of the timber mafia transported their booty out of the reserve on notice in various ways before transporting them to the urban centers where they sell them for huge sums.
Let me end with a quick one from Star News. Husband files 5 million cedi suit against Rich Hospital over death of wife and baby. Story says a distraught husband has filed a 5 million cedi suit against the Rich Hospital in Accra for alleged medical negligence in the death of his wife and the baby at the facility. In a 5-page writ filed on June the 1st at the Accra High Court, Mohammed Mustafa, the husband of the deceased, the Anyakon Sebunsu, alleges that the medical officers failed to appropriately treat and manage his wife's condition during and after a cesarean section. The suit states that the failures, negligence, and careless acts and omissions of the medical officers who performed the surgery of the hospital caused and or contributed to her death. The lawsuit listed Attorney General and Minister of Justice as defendants, Ministry of Health second defendant, Ghana Health Service third defendant, Greater Accra Regional Hospital, which is the Ridge Hospital, as the fourth defendant in the case. And the details are given in the story. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being on the show this morning. I'm going to have you back shortly. That was a newspaper review.